Welcome to Dish by RMU Culinary, a weekly installment where we show you delicious food. I'm Chef Rachel with the Institute of Culinary Arts at Robert Morris University in downtown Chicago. This week on Dish, we are going to be making banana cupcakes with cream cheese icing. So what we're going to start with is our banana cupcakes. What we have in the mixing bowl already is our ripe bananas. You want to use as ripe as you can get. Don't have your bananas where they're totally black. You still want to have some chunks of bananas in your finished product. So what I'm going to do is add in the granulated sugar. And we're just going to allow this to mix so that you have smaller pieces of banana in there. You don't want it completely broken down. You still want to have some of that texture in the cupcakes when it's done. So after this, what we're going to do is add in our eggs and vanilla. Like any cake recipe, you always add this after you add your mix your sugar in. What I'm going to do is scrape down the bottom of the bowl. In most baking recipes, whenever you have something that you're mixing together, you always want to go through and make sure that you're scraping the bottom. And it just ensures that all of your ingredients are evenly combined and you don't have any of your ingredients that get stuck to the bottom of the bowl. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take my baking soda, my salt, and my flour and add it in with my banana and eggs. Just make sure you start this back on low speed, otherwise you have all your flour that comes back at you. And your very last ingredient, I have some melted butter that I cooled, and I'm going to stream that in just at the very end. It's going to add, fat always adds flavor to it, so it's going to add another richness to the cupcake as well. So once you have all your butter in, you really just want to mix to combine. You don't want to over mix it too much because the bananas will start to get kind of gummy the more you mix it, especially with the flour in there. So make sure you get all your batter off of your paddle attachment. I'm going to go through one more time just because that flour has a tendency to stick, and make sure I kind of give everything one really good scrape. And then what you can do is divide your batter evenly in muffin tins. So I have just a standard size with muffin liners. You can bake this in cake pans as well. Just make sure you put parchment on the bottom of your cake pan and spray it. So I'm going to use my portion scoop, so that way I have even cupcakes. You can get portion scoops basically anywhere. It just helps create that even consistency as you make your cupcakes. So once you get all of your cupcakes scooped, you should have your oven preheated to 350 degrees. And these will typically take about 18 minutes or so to bake all the way through. They'll have a nice, really dark golden brown color on the top. Oops. All right, so we're going to stick these in the oven, and then we'll start making our cream cheese icing. So what I have in the mixing bowl is our softened cream cheese. You really want to make sure you don't pull it straight out of the fridge. What will happen is if you use cold cream cheese and you start mixing your icing, it's going to stay really lumpy. So in order to get that nice smooth icing, you want to make sure it's at room temperature along with the butter that you're going to use, because otherwise the butter will stay in chunks as you continue to mix it. So as we cream our cream cheese, in here I'm going to add powdered sugar to the mix. Again, just be very careful as you add it that you don't have it on too high of a speed. And during this process, you just want to make sure that it smooths out all the way as you're mixing it. So you might have to stop several times to scrape down the bowl and make sure that everything's combined evenly. Like right now, I have a lot of cream cheese that's sticking to my paddle. So you want to make sure that you go through and kind of break it apart so all the sugar gets combined. now that this has come together, it's mixed until it's smooth, everything's combined in the bowl. You're going to slowly start adding your butter in. Again, you want your butter to be at room temperature. It can be soft if you need to microwave it for a little bit, just so that way it's soft enough to combine in with the rest of your ingredients. That's perfect, but you just want to go through and kind of add a few pieces at a time. If you add too much all at once, it's going to kind of clump up, and you'll just have chunks of butter, and it's going to take a lot longer to process. If you overmix your cream cheese icing, sometimes it gets a little gummy in texture and kind of has a stringy consistency. So you just want to make sure you mix it until your ingredients are combined and not overmix it as you work it. Once all your butter's added, you can turn it on a little bit higher speed just to make sure everything's evenly combined. Once it's combined, you can turn off your mixer and you're ready to start decorating your cupcakes. All right, so when you're ready to decorate your cupcakes, what I have is a piping bag and also a pastry tip. You can get this at Michael's and most stores if you want to start decorating your cupcakes more. So what I'm going to do is drop the tip into the piping bag and just cut it enough so your pastry tip will just come out of the end of your bag, so that way you're able to pipe it and the plastic won't be in the way. The best way to keep a clean bag is to fold it down, so that way you're kind of creating this funnel, but now all of this part stays clean and you won't have icing coming all the way back up. You're going to take your icing and fill your bag just enough to cover your cupcakes. Don't worry about filling it up all the way. That's where people tend to have the issue of all of the icing coming back over the top. So now I can take this, squeeze out my icing a little bit, make sure there's no air pockets. If you do have air pockets when you go to refill, just make sure you pipe it back into your bag a little bit, and it'll pop all the extra air out so you won't have a giant explosion of icing on your cupcakes. I'm just going to do a little spiral shape on here, so I'm just going to go a circle. But you can do any design that you want to put on top of here. As you make your cupcakes, you can add in walnuts and different chocolates to mix into your batter as well, so that way when you finish your cupcakes, you can garnish it with that. So all I'm going to do is take a little bit of sprinkles as my garnish, and that is your cupcakes. For recipes and information on our programs, please visit robertmorris.edu/dish.